Hello, everyone. Dustin DePirac, columnist Ryan Karchi. Back here at the Rose Garden again, and Indiana is still going to be here for at least another couple of days. They are still dancing, got a win over New Mexico State, 79-66. A couple of moments where they had reason to be concerned, where it seemed like there was going to be a comeback, but more or less, Indiana more or less had control over this one. They were, again, kind of got a little bit of a lead early, kept it, made it about 21 in the second half, and managed to, pour it on, just hold the foot on the gas just enough to put away by 13, basically. And they did really, I thought, everything that they came in here saying they wanted to do. They hit almost every key, more or less.
Exactly. I mean, the biggest issue was the rebounds, and with New Mexico State being bigger and being just a better rebounding team generally, they wanted to at least limit what they could do on the boards. And they did lose the rebounding battle, but they only lost by 2 rebounds.
Yeah.
And
they have an average margin of plus 8.9, and only allowed 7 boards. Basically, each team got 7 offensive rebounds. Was even on that end. So New Mexico State didn't get a ton of second chance points.
And beyond that, I mean, one of the biggest issues was free throws. This was the they had shot more free throws than any other team in Division I basketball, and that's a product of their aggressive play on offense. They don't really settle for jump shots as much as maybe another team would, just because they're always driving, always drawing fouls. Only 10 free throws.
Yeah.
10 free throw attempts. I mean, they made 8 of them, but that is a huge difference for a team. I'm not sure how many they average per game, but
it's like 33.
Yeah,
it's like 30. I think it is. They shot 1,048 free throws.
I mean, they average that many, or if they make half of those.
Yeah, and they shoot like 67%. I mean, they're not a
Yeah.
great free throw shooting team. They're not bad, but they're sort of an average free throw shooting team. They just get to the line that much. But yeah, I mean, they really just kind of stuck to the principles. I mean, Indiana just boxed out, just got after it. Knew they weren't going to get every rebound, but had to get their share of them, and really fought for them. And Cody Zeller had a good night with that. He finished with 6 rebounds. A couple of other guys rebounded pretty well. There weren't a ton of rebounds tonight because there was a lot of made shots. But when it came to fouling, I mean, New Mexico State's coach, kind of hinted that he thought there were a couple calls out there that they should have got. He said he told the ref, we lead Division I in free throw attempts, and the ref was like, oh, really? And they got a couple, calls after that. He said, I don't know, I didn't really notice that, but maybe there were some calls that went Indiana's way or non-calls, but Tom Crean just said, I thought we did a really good job of sticking to like principles of verticality, making sure just not to get in bad position. If you're in a bad position, just don't foul, don't get in the way, don't put yourself in a position where you're going to put them on the line more, don't get in the bonus. And they managed not to do that. They stuck to those things.
Cody Zeller was especially good with that verticality.
Yeah, he was.
I mean, they went after him. He was kind of the guy early and often. They were driving at him, and he followed Green's advice to the T. I mean, he remained as vertical as possible. I mean, if he wouldn't have, he may have been able to, grab more steals or block more shots, but he kind of stuck to that game plan, and it worked out because other guys got steals. Other guys kind of helped.
He had 6.
He still had 6. He had the most Indiana's ever had in an NCAA tournament game.
It really is. I mean, I guess I saw people talking about this on Twitter, and it really kind of stands out to you just how good he is when he's kind of in that denied position, when he's sort of behind a guy, and that pass is coming, he can just get around you. Just get around a bigger guy, a bigger, slower guy, and pick it off. I mean, he did that just more than. He does that usually a couple times a game. Today he did it 6 times. I mean, those were a couple big guys that weren't quite as coordinated as some of the other guys they played. What's the guy's name? Hamidou Rahman. He just got around him. He just ran around him. Just was able to pick off the slow
Tyrone Watson had 7 turnovers. And a lot of those came from Zeller.
Exactly. A lot of cases they were all kind of dribble, just kind of losing the dribble when Zeller was there. And I think they said he had 15 deflections. I mean, just amazing that for a center to have that kind of night. They needed the transition points too.
I don't think I've ever seen a center steal that many in a game. I mean,
I don't know if I've ever even heard of it. Actually.
I mean, point guards and like guards in general don't usually get even close to that.
Yeah, if you average 2.5, if you average 2, you're leading your league, basically, and that's triple that. I mean, every once in a while somebody has a big game, but usually those guys are guards, and it's a pressing team or something like that, and it forces a bunch of turnovers. It's usually a non-conference game, and they're playing somebody who's a lower quality opponent. That's where you can get those kind of numbers. But in an NCAA tournament game for a center to do that is pretty ridiculous.
And overall, they had 12 steals, which is
12
a
steals
ton.
called 17 turnovers. That's a lot in an NCAA game.
Yeah.
It turns into, I think, 24 points off turnovers. There was occasions where they had to, just it wasn't easy for them to get the ball in the middle a lot of the night. And what they could do is they could rely on transition buckets. I mean, that was probably the most they've been able to do that. In a while was just whenever New Mexico State was coming back, they just got a couple steals and were just take control of it.
When they were running, it kind of reminded me of that Iowa game when they were just at the fast pace and it was always working. The transition offense, 3-point shots were falling when they needed them to, that sort of thing. And this is they play well when they're playing fast.
Oh yeah,
and that's gonna
nobody realizes that unless they actually
No.
watch them. I think they're people talked about Indiana wanting to slow it down. I mean, that just means probably haven't watched these guys more or less. I mean, they're one of the fastest teams in the Big Ten. They lead the Big Ten in scoring. They've shown time and again they can play that.
And
time.
that's what's going to be most interesting to me when they take on VCU in this next round.
VCU plays really hectic. I mean, they get after you, run and jump.
Hectic traps at half court. I mean, there's a lot of very in-your-face defense that cause. I mean, they cause the most turnovers of any team in the NCAA, if I'm not mistaken.
I think they're up there. Yeah,
they're definitely towards the top. So either way, this is you can't make mistakes, and that's one thing that when Indiana is going fast like that, especially with maybe Victor Oladipo, his ball handling hasn't been great lately, and if he's the one running that fast offense, they are going to be liable to have some turnovers against VCU.
Sometimes.
But Jordan Hulse, I thought, did a better job at kind of running that transition offense today than he has.
Jory was flat out phenomenal today. I mean, Hulse was shooting wise, he was unconscious. It was interesting because he kind of got. Just was facilitating really well in the first half, just making some just great passes. I mean, I think one of the nicer passes we saw tonight when he found Cody in transition. It was sort of transition because everybody was kind of back, but it was like nobody had quite accounted for the fact that Cody was still coming up the middle and nobody saw him. And Hulse just made a great look to find him there.
He only had 5 points in the first half.
Yeah, he only took he took one. He took 4 field goals, hit 1 3. But he found the groove in the second half and just went off.
Groove doesn't even give it justice.
Yeah, I mean, there was a point where it was just he just knew he could let it go and it was going to fall. I think he was 7 for 8 in the second half, hit 3 of 5 3-pointers in that frame. He just found it, and it just keeps pointing out when he's got that shot going down, like when he's feeling confident and when he's feeling it, he's a force. I mean, and they needed that. I mean, they got Watford going as well when Watford and Hulse are both shooting 3-pointers. The sky's the limit for this team, and that's the difference. Is when those guys aren't hitting, it's an issue. It's tough for them to get anything else going. But when both of those guys hit shots and hit them early and feel confident, it changes this team dynamic completely.
It's all about the confidence, and they've admitted to this that their team runs best when every guy on the team is feeling as confident as they can. I mean, Victor Oladipo didn't look very confident at times tonight. He only scored 6 points. He didn't take a lot of shots, so he wasn't the cause of any empty possessions or anything.
It wasn't an easy night for him.
No.
Mostly because he's had trouble finishing the last couple games in general, and it gets a lot harder to do that when you're going up against guys that are 6'10", basically. I mean, he had a couple that just got swatted, and that didn't help him. But he defended really well.
Yeah.
I mean, Wendell McKinnis gets 15 points and 7 rebounds between Oladipo and Sheehy. I mean, they kept him from going off.
He only had 4 in the first half.
I think it was something like that. Yeah, I mean, they had a hard time getting on the ball. I mean, they defended. They really switched off that assignment. I mean, I think they were sort of really switching off between him and LaRoche. They were both kind of guarding those two guys, and it was just a really good job of combined defense. I mean, they knew when to switch, and they both felt confident in either position, whether they were guarding a power forward in the lane or just guarding a point guard, and that's what they've always been able to do. That's what makes them probably the two best defenders, and throw in Watford there. But they did just a really good job of just staying on those guys and keeping either one of them from beating them.
Yeah, it's that kind of versatility, I think, that would make this team so dangerous in this tournament. It's just the fact that you have Christian Watford comes out, scores 8 points in, I think, 3 minutes.
Yeah.
He didn't score for a long time after that. Then he went into the half with 10 points and didn't score until 3 minutes left in the second half.
Yeah.
So, but it didn't matter because at that point Jordan Hulse steps in.
Yeah.
Gets on his kick where he's hitting everything that's passed to him, and then Will Sheehy's also stepping up. So, I mean, if this team can operate under that with that versatility on defense and on offense, then I mean.
Well, that's what it's always been. I mean, I've said it for months. This team has no ceiling; it has no floor. Because when those guys score, they can beat anybody. The thing about it is there's just the only guy that you can say will get you so many points a night is Zeller.
Yes.
You know, and the thing about it is none of those guys can do it all. All of them can do something, and all of them are hard to stop. And when they're all clicking, they're one of the most versatile, potent offenses in the country.
Yeah.
But they can go in a hole. So, but this is what you see when these guys are hitting. When Halls and Watford are hitting shots, when Watford's playing inside, outside, and when you're getting something out of Sheehy, you're getting anything out of Oladipo, and you're getting the standard out of Zeller, they can blow up on you.
It results in an NCAA tournament win.
Yeah, first since 2007. So, anyway, they get back at it. VCU on Saturday. I think the time is 4:10 local, 7:10 your time. For that. But anyway, we'll be back here tomorrow covering stuff, and we'll have more for you. Thanks. Guys.